Bonjour à tous, c'est Caroline. Welcome to this new episode. I hope you're fine and that your French is going great too. I'm super happy because a few weeks ago I've been approached by Italki. I don't know if you know them, but it's a website when you can study languages, and not only French, but any languages really. So they've asked me if I would be interested in writing some articles for them on a regular basis. And of course, I said yes. So this episode will be the article that I wrote, and it will be focused, of course, on teaching real French. I will post the link of the Italki article on today's show notes, so you can have a look too. Today, we're going to study a little bit more about pronunciation. A common problem that arises when you learn French is that, despite having studied a great deal of vocab and grammar, it can still be very challenging to understand people in daily situations. And the reason for this is that there's a big gap between how something is supposed to be pronounced and how it is actually pronounced. So French language is a melody, and we smooth it by connecting words together. I have a few tips for you today, and we will look at a few changes that are especially true in daily discussions with friends and relatives. To understand this special flow, we will focus on three aspects: the change in the pronunciation of the pronoun tu, the change in the pronunciation in the pronoun je, and the case of the letter I. The last one is a bit tricky, but it will greatly increase your fluency and your understanding. Let's start with tu. It is very common to drop the U in this word when speaking, so that the T is smooshed into the verb that follows, creating a quicker flow. For example, tu es en retard, tu es en retard, you're late, will become t'es en retard. T'es en retard. However, this will not work with a verb that starts with a consonant. You cannot, for instance, change tu manges to t'manges. T'manges. Yeah, no, it is too difficult to pronounce, so we keep the U. Dropping the U works for all tenses. For example, if you want to conjugate to plus que parfait, it will be tu avais mangé, that's the normal form, tu avais mangé, and it will become t'avais mangé, t'avais mangé. It is very simple, and by using this little trick, you will sound more natural. Let's now look at the changes that occur to the pronoun je when French people speak. The normal pronunciation would be with the sound j. J. However, when we speak, the I of je disappears and the sound is changed depending on the first letter of the verb. For example, je mange, I eat, is pronounced like j'mange, j'mange. In this example, the je sound still remains, but since we don't pronounce the I, it's as if there were only one word. Now let's look at this phenomena with some other verbs. For example, je fais. Je fais. I do, I make. Je fais. Here, because the verb starts with an F, the sound is going to change. We will still drop the I, but we can't keep the je pronunciation. It would be too difficult to pronounce. Well, you can try it, and you will see. I actually tried to pronounce it like je fais, but it is very hard. Okay, so what do we say then? So we pronounce the je as a sh, like in the word shoe in English, like sh. In our first example, the sound was vibrating more, j'mange. Now it is more of a whistle, j'fais. In addition, the letter F isn't the only letter that changes the sound of je in a similar way. You will get the same sound in front of words that start with the sounds k, f, s, t, p. So basically, k, f, s, t, and p. Let's now continue with the topic of the letter I, because it actually is changed quite often and is frequently dropped altogether in certain words. In order to illustrate the proper pronunciation, let's have a look at the words petit and petite. I'm sure that you all know that we don't pronounce the T in the first word. Petit, small. Well, we do pronounce it in the second. Petite, also small, but for feminine. That's exactly what the E at the end of a word is for. It is used to transform the consonant that precedes it. You now know that you need to pronounce it. Therefore, the E at the end of a word isn't a signal that you have to pronounce the E itself, but instead it's a signal that the consonant before it has to be pronounced. In this example, we're going to say petite. But be careful, we don't pronounce the E, therefore we don't say petite or petite. No. We say petite. Same goes for une table. We don't say une table, a table, but une table. We only pronounce the consonant. Let's have a look at the behavior of this letter in a proper sentence. For example, je n'ai pas de table. Je n'ai pas de table. I don't have any tables. Yes, that's a strange example, but yeah, it works pretty well. With a normal and slow pronunciation, we would pronounce every syllable. Je n'ai pas de table. But remember, that's not really what we're going to hear in the street. So how do we pronounce it like a native? First, you now know that the je will change and that we will drop the E. As a result, we will get something like je n'ai. Je n'ai. Because ne, it doesn't start with the letter that I gave you. You know, the f, t, p, k. No. It's just a normal one. So the sound will be kept as je. So we get je n'ai. Now, I'll need to share the 3-syllable rule with you. It is a very important rule that will help you know when to smoosh a word or a group of words. If you have an E in the middle of a 3-syllable word or group, then you can drop it. In our sentence, we already took care of the je n'ai part. We are left with pas de table. What do we have here? Yes, 3 syllables. Pas de table. The E from de will disappear and the letter D will be smooshed into pas, resulting in something we will pronounce pad. Pad. If we put the sentence back together, our final pronunciation will be je n'ai pas de table. Je n'ai pas de table. No, sorry, je n'ai pas de table. With all this smooshing, it's logical to have a hard time understanding people when they talk. Let's take another example and apply our rule again. Je te dis de ne pas boire. Je te dis de ne pas boire. I'm telling you not to drink. Okay, that's again a weird example. So this sentence has a lot of E's. But which ones do we need to keep and which ones can we ditch? The easiest one, as you already know, is to ditch the E from je. Since this one has already been removed, we won't be able to drop the second one in te. You know, je te. Otherwise, we would end up with 3 consonants in a row, and it would be impossible to pronounce. Je te dis? Je te dis? No. We have to keep at least one E. So we will keep the one in te. Now, let's look at the second group. Count 3 syllables. You should get de, ne, pas. If we follow our rule, then we will drop the E from ne. Therefore, we end up with a lonely N. What do we do with it? Just like with pas de table, pas de table, we will attach it to the preceding syllable, which is de. We then end up with something that is pronounced like done, done. And that's it. The only other E left is the one from boire, and we know that we don't pronounce that one. So our final sentence is then pronounced je te dis de ne pas boire. 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 And you've just pronounced this sentence like a real native. Congratulations! Yay! But don't forget that this rule also applies to words. So whenever you have a long word, check if you can spot an E within 3 syllables. If so, just drop it. To finish up this episode and check that you've understood everything well, nothing beats a little challenge. So you can find it either on today's show notes or on italki. As usual, write your answers in the comment section. I'm really curious because it's a bit of a tough challenge, but I believe in you guys. That's it for today. Thanks a lot for listening and see you next time for a new episode. Bye bye. Bye bye.